devil is a woman with a red dress on, a gleam that flits across a roving eye. The devil is a hand that moves along a satin seam, a softly whispered, sweetly whispered lie.
How we doing, guys? It's Jazz Vinder. Another episode of the Mindset Hacker podcast with your host, the Mindset Hacker. Well, how was that for a dramatic opening, huh? Well, so that was The Devil from Mary Lou Williams. Now, just for the record, I don't know if this is necessary for you, but it's necessary for me, as I do not believe in any of the superstitious nonsense. But I included that for that last line about it's a softly whispered, sweetly whispered lie. And that brings us to our topic for tonight, which is putting an end to imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is bullshit. You are better than that. Do not subject yourself to the agony of imposter syndrome. So I've got 3 very easy steps to remove that from your life once and for all. And man, you deserve it. You deserve to just get that monkey off your back. So let's just kind of go into the psychology of it briefly before I just tell you what to do about it. Because we keep it actionable here, don't we? So imposter syndrome is this belief that you are someplace you do not belong. You are in a role that you have no right to play. You are expected to do things and to be something, to be someone that you're not, and to do things that you can't do. Well, that's a bunch of baloney. But, well, again, I'm gonna very quickly come to how to just get it out of your life. But I want to briefly just put some ideas on the table about where this comes from, what this is doing to you, what this is costing you. Because, man, this is the worst. This is what holds people back. This is what stops people from growing and ascending in life and becoming just... I mean, think about it this way. Imposter syndrome will keep you as a caterpillar your entire life. It will deny you the glory of opening your wings and flying, of being a butterfly. Who wants to be a caterpillar? I mean, caterpillars are cute. We get silk. They make bulletproof vests out of silk. It's sophisticated, right? Fancy pants clothes. Butterflies are better, man. To be a butterfly is better, even if caterpillars are more useful from a capitalist standpoint. It's a long digression. Imposter syndrome is going to just keep you right where you are, because whenever you try, you've got an inward drive to grow. You've got an inward drive to look back and see that you are a better, more evolved, more advanced person than you were yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So that impulse is always there. It's always pushing you forward. And then when you step forward and when you actually do just take some steps and try to honor that impulse to grow and to evolve and to elevate, then what happens? Imposter syndrome goes, you're not a butterfly, you're a caterpillar. You've got no business opening your wings. You've got no business taking to the skies. You need to get back down on that branch and crawl around where you belong, in the dirt. Not on my watch. That is not any way to live. That is not your nature. So let's get this bullshit out of the way expediently. So I said there are 3 points. I would say 2 of these are more conceptual. And the third is actually practical and implementable on a habit level. But I've got to frame it the right way, which is why it's 3 steps. The first 2 really are positioning your attitude, because nothing changes until your thinking changes. But I've set this up the way that I have so that you can be handed new, better ideas on a platter. You're welcome. And then you've got simple things to do to test those new ideas. So there's a continuum of beliefs and feelings and thoughts and behaviors and results. And results only reinforce the feelings that prompt them, right? Behavior stems effortlessly, automatically, subconsciously from belief. So I'm going to hand you some new beliefs. I'm going to hand you easy peasy things to do to test them. So what happens is you test them. I've set you up for success because these are very easy, doable, actionable things. And then you try them, they go well, and your subconscious mind goes bada boom, bada bing. These new beliefs work. I can now act on them. I can overwrite my old shitty caterpillar mind with that butterfly mind. How about that? So, what we got? Number one, people are not idiots. I mean, if you watch Fox News, you can easily be led to the contrary. If you watch any news, you might be led to the contrary. But in reality, people are not idiots. If you're somewhere where you believe you don't belong, it's because you were offered an opportunity to be there by somebody. Let's get specific here. You might be in a job or a relationship. I found these are the two places imposter syndrome surfaces the most. You are in a job, career, business, professional role, or you're with somebody romantically. Someone you think of as out of your league. Someone you think of that would not really want to be with someone like you. Or you're in a company that's too prestigious. You're making too much money. You have too many, there's too much responsibilities that have been entrusted to you. And you're thinking, I'm not the person who's cut out for this opportunity. And eventually they're going to figure it out. And eventually they're going to cast me out into the streets. And so that imposter syndrome will drive you to sabotage that relationship, that career, that business, that opportunity. Because you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop the entire time. And that makes you underperform. It fulfills the prophecy of being cast out because you are always playing beneath your level and you're always you're not trusting. You're not trusting. So people are not idiots. That's point number one. Sub-point number one. It's highly unlikely that you outsmarted them. The person who extended that opportunity to you knows what they want. They know what they're looking for. They have had other people in your position before. Now, that statement sounded funny if we're talking about relationships. I don't know what positions you prefer. I don't care to know. Don't talk about it in the comments. But if it's in a job, it's the same thing. They've had people in the operations manager position before, whatever it might be. You're not the first. This is a professional. They know what they're doing. Or same thing with the relationship. That you have to trust. They know who they're looking for. They know they like you. You're not there because you outsmarted them. You're there because they took a good look at you. They vibed you out. And they say, this is the person for me. This is the person to fill this job. And now you're there. Secondary point, when something is offered, the giver decides who is worthy, not the receiver. So number one, stop thinking the person who extended the opportunity to you is an idiot. Stop thinking that the person who offered the opportunity to you, extended the offer, has been hoodwinked by you. You're insulting their intelligence. So I know you don't want to do that. So you see how what you think of as being modest and all that, it's actually incredibly insulting. These people are not idiots. You have not outsmarted them. And it's their call to decide if you're the one they want for that job or that position or to be their partner. It's not your call. So if you're there to begin with, you're worthy. If you're there to begin with, you're qualified. You are qualified enough, worthy enough to be there. Now, where it goes from there, and if it continues to work out, is another thing. Because that's an issue of things working out over time. But that basic supposition that you are someplace you do not deserve to be is not your call to make. And it presumes really unflattering things about the person who's extended it to you. And when you see that for what it is, clearly, that's enough to help dissolve it. Point number two, imperfect does not equal imposter. People understand that you're learning. People understand that there's an initial phase of getting your bearings, of figuring things out, of learning the communication style of the other person, learning their likes and dislikes, learning the ups and downs of the job, learning, all kinds of things. When you have a new position with a new company, there's usually some backlog stuff left by the person who was there before. You've got to clean it up. People understand. They understand that this is part of it. They don't expect you to walk in there like some kind of marble statue and just be perfect. They get that things are a journey. Again, they've seen people in your position before. It was the same with the previous person. They came in, they were qualified enough to get going. They weren't already the person they were going to grow into once they got there. And no one's expecting that of you either. There's also the fail-forward ethos, which is the idea that mistakes are fine. Mistakes are part of learning. Mistakes are part of adapting. All that matters is that you learn from a mistake. You do your best not to repeat it. You take responsibility for having made it. You take initiative to acknowledge it to the other person. When you make a mistake, be the first person to speak to it. Don't wait for them to bring it up. That will reassure them even further that you're the right guy, or you're the right girl, or the man or the woman, whatever. And that will make you feel more confident in your right to be there, right? Now, last one, and this is the actionable one. Seek more clarity about the expectations that you're under. If you feel like you don't belong there and you're not up to it, you can easily dispel that by sitting down with the person, whether it's your manager or whether it's the person you're in a relationship with, either way. And it's questions like, if it's with a relationship, it might sound awkward, but it's actually very reassuring to, in the right way, at the right time, to say, what are you mostly looking for? What does a committed relationship mean to you at this point in your life, right? Or when it's with a job, it's what are the 3 to 5 highest priority tasks that you have for me? Because then if you're delivering on those. If you're doing what they expect you to do. And that fear that you're not doing what they expect will dissolve. Now, secondary to that, have relationships with specialists. This is purely a career thing, obviously, by now. Have relationships with specialists who have the same position as you or have largely overlapping positions to you, right? Like if you're a user experience designer, well, you should also have friends who are just straight web developers, right? People who just write code. Now, I don't know much about this kind of thing, so that's about as deep as I can go into it, but I think you get the idea. So the idea is shop talk and peer mentorship, really in the career space now. Shop talk and career mentorship from your peers, super duper important. What Richard Branson said is if you're offered an opportunity to do something you don't know how to do, say yes, and then go figure out how to do it later. Say yes first. I do this all the time. I say yes first, and then I go, now what am I going to do? And I go quietly, discreetly, and I go figure out what the heck I'm supposed to go do tomorrow morning, right? I said yes to an interview with a finance company, and then I get off that phone call. What do? I Google how to tie a necktie, because I didn't know. I didn't say no to the interview because I didn't know how to tie a tie. I said yes to the interview, and then I go back and go, what do I do? What's this thing? Which end goes first? What do I do? I don't know. But it all kind of worked out. I was there for 2.5 years. Everything was fine with no experience. So let's review. People are not idiots. It's highly unlikely that you outsmarted them. When somebody is offered an opportunity, the giver decides who is worthy, not the receiver. Imperfect does not mean imposter. People understand that you're still learning, and you got to fail forward. Last one, seek more clarity about expectations. So seek any knowledge that you lack, have relationships with specialists, and have a lot of shop talk. Well, guys, thanks for your time. It's Jasvinder. Oh, we went fast. Went fast with this one. It's been the Mindset Hacker with the Mindset Hacker, and we'll talk again soon.